just something I decided to do when I was talking with my Aunt Bonnie. I'm just going to do a little bit of documenting, maybe every night, but I just want to get some documentation on video, just some honest, down-to-earth, raw, like emotion and feeling, and like just feedback, and just give the thoughts that I'm thinking and stuff while we're all going through this whole coronavirus thing. You know, anybody who feels their heart stirring in these times, feels moved by the Spirit, I would encourage to maybe think of doing the same thing. So I'm just going to dive right in. This whole thing it's intense. It's, you know, I don't know how people are going to look at it afterwards, or even at this point, which way things are going to go. But, you know, I don't know if people are going to feel like we overplayed it or whatever, you know, that kind of thing, which is why I want to do some of this documenting. But it's intense, and it's like, you know, my aunt put it really well. She said, you know, 9/11 was like this, you know, whole big thing for us, and it's like, but this is something different, and this is something that really should serve as an awakener to all of us, and I feel like it is. I mean, everything going on in this time is, it's so different from what we've been used to. Even though it's like, even though I might still just be like living at home and you know, able to do my thing, it's completely different. And I feel like spiritually, there's a lot that's going on right now. Like for myself, I feel a lot of just spiritual blossoming and a lot of sort of like spiritual capabilities unfolding in this time, and it's really quite enlightening in its own way. Like I said, it's like a big awakener on all levels, and you know, there's a lot of people that are really struggling right now. See, we're basically 2 weeks in. It's Sunday, April, whenever's the first Sunday in April. I'll put it in the comments. But yeah, you know, a lot of people are down and out. Personally, myself, I mean, I hadn't seen anybody in the last 2.5 weeks, or like not really. I mean, I've seen people like walking around outside and stuff, but I hadn't actually had like physical contact with anybody, or even just talked to somebody face to face the last 2.5 weeks. And you know, that wears on you. Like, I'm used to some solitary living, some solitude, because I'm always just doing my own thing, like recording music, meditating, all this stuff. But like, you know, not having that touch, that feel with people is like, you know, you get that touch deprived kind of thing. That's a real thing. It's yeah, like, you know, I had that sense, that longing, where I'm just like, I just want to give somebody a huge hug and just tell them I love them so much. You know, I actually went over to my brother's house today for the first time in a few weeks, and we literally just, I was sitting on one side of the driveway, they were sitting on the other side of the driveway, and we just talked, and you know, we just hung out like that for a few hours. I mean, you know, it was a real nice day, and you know, I appreciated that so much, and just to be able to sit there and talk to them, because you know, these are people that I'm close to in my life anyway, and you know, like feeling that distance and that separation kind of thing is, it's a difficult thing. You know, it's like we're such social animals, and we're used to touching each other, we're used to just interacting. I mean, you know, we're used to just brushing by people walking down the street or in the, you know, store or whatever. But you know, there's actually some research I saw maybe a few months ago about how certain, like when they studied some primates and I guess certain species of monkeys kind of thing, and you know, just to point out like something that we as humans do, I guess, was the idea that whenever they get scared, these primates or monkeys would touch each other. You know, and like that sense of like, you know, something happens, you grab somebody's arm, you know what I mean? Or like, I'm sure you've had that experience where like, you know, something happens and then somebody like maybe jumps behind you and like puts their hands on you kind of thing. It's that I guess it's that sense of touch that helps us calm down enough to, figure out, okay, it's us here together, we need to figure out what to do, that kind of thing. But anyway, again, we're such social animals, and that's so important, and I'm definitely missing that. So, people who are living together as your families, you got your kids around, even though you might be a little sick of the full time of it, that kind of thing, appreciate it as best you can, because on the other end of it, over here, like people who live alone, aren't getting physical contact. That's, like you yearn for it, that kind of thing. Like, and it's spring too. But, yeah, man, this time is intense. Yeah, we're at a point right now, like I live in Virginia, and they're telling us that that this is going to go on until June 10th. And, that kind of thing is, it's scary. Like, right now, everybody has a lot of, like, fear, and there's also that sense of, like, what's going on, where's it going, like, what's going to happen, that kind of thing. And, obviously there's so much talk about all this stuff on all the levels, and, like, things that are going on. Everybody's talking about what's going on with the economy, that kind of thing. There's a lot of people are talking about things that are more interrelationship, like, compassion and stuff like that. Like, the conversations that I've been having with people over the last couple of weeks have been incredible. There's just been so many just heartfelt connections, and even, like, going deep and just talking things, and, like, taking off our masks and really talking to each other. And a lot of the little kind of whatever stuff that we might have, a little kind of stuff, or even just the, like, maybe little shields we have that were like, all right, I talked to too many people. Now it's like we all have all this time, and, well, not everybody. I mean, I know we're all busy, actually, but it's different how we're spending our time. But, there's a lot more, like, FaceTiming and just wanting to talk to each other and that kind of thing. And, some people are starting to do things like performances, whether that's like a concert or whatever it is. I'm actually looking to start doing the same thing. I've been working on all these recordings in my little studio. As soon as I get a song finished, I'll be on there. But yeah, there's been so much compassion, and just it's like our eyes are open on a whole other level, where we just appreciate each other so much more immediately. You know what I mean? It's like you're just so willing to forgive each other and be like, oh, it's cool, man. It's cool. Like, we're going through these hard times together. And I know that that's also just that I have a really good circle of people that I'm connected to. I have an amazing family that I'm blessed to be a part of. I have amazing friends, and I'm a guitar teacher, and I've got about 50 students, and my students have been amazing. Like, we've been FaceTiming and Skyping our messages, and they've been so cool about it, and I'm so appreciative of all that. And I feel like we've all been connecting on deeper levels just because of what's going on, and it's, yeah, I think that we all appreciate being able to do it too. It's maybe a sense of normalcy too, that kind of thing. But yeah, gosh, I don't have a mean bone in my body right now. I feel like, towards anybody. I just feel like compassion and that kind of thing. And in fact, one of our best friends, he was a guy that was one of my dad's best friends. He actually passed away just yesterday. And, our dad passed away when I was 18, and that was a really hard time, but it was a time that made me who I am. Like, I was even saying it at the time, there was my life up to that point and my life after. And, these kind of things, they change us, and they challenge us, and even though it's not like, we don't enjoy going through them, it's kind of like the suffering builds character kind of thing, right? Where it's like, you know, we were even talking about this on the call earlier today, talking about this, about how, going through these hard times, it transforms you, it makes you grow, like that kind of thing. And like, even though it doesn't always feel good when you're going through something and doing the right thing, it's like, it ends up being such a huge thing, so important, such a big thing that was a big part of your life, and a big part of your story, and who you are, and like all of that. And for me personally, I always feel like these kind of times bring out or unfold, like bring to fruition my spiritual abilities and connection and all that kind of stuff. And this is no different. I feel really connected to all of humanity, and the people that I'm in touch with and actually talking to, I feel a lot of real closeness with. Again, my Aunt Bonnie said it really well. She said, we can't forget this. Like, we can't just go back to living our lives like we did before and just ignoring what's going on right now and what we're experiencing. Which again, I think is a resounding of that awakening that this is. So yeah, that's again why I want to do this, is because it's just like, this is a hard thing. And honestly, right now we're at a point where we haven't seen the bottom yet. We don't know how far this is going to go. We really don't know. The general hope and assumption is that it's just going to be like a couple months or however long, but things are going to go back to normal, and it's just going to be normal. But we don't actually know that right now. In fact, I personally don't think things are going to go back to the way they were. Kind of echoing on what I was just saying. Like, if they do, then maybe we messed up, right? Maybe we didn't, take the call for what it was, or learn the lesson, kind of thing. So, I don't know. I can't speak for what's going on economically and that kind of thing. It's just not my expertise. My expertise is music, and, my way is one of the spiritual path. And, again, like, man, these conversations and things that people have been telling me that have been happening, like just the blessings. Like, one of my cousins, his boss basically told him that even though he was a commission-based person, that his boss was going to just pay him what he regularly earned on the monthly, just to keep him, because he favors him. And that moved my heart so much. I about teared up. Just like, I'm hearing of amazing things like that are happening, that people are doing, and I've even been offering some meditation and doing some meditation with a few people just over FaceTime, and I feel like they've been such amazing meditations. And both of us have just been each time like, oh my God, that was amazing. Because I really feel like these have just been guided by Spirit. And wow, this time is so powerful. Who knows where it's going to go? Personally, on my own personal level, I'm really thankful that I'm still earning income, and that I'm able to feel and express, and all these things that I'm talking about that have been going on. On the good side of things, that is. Of course, on the whole other side of things, I've got nothing but compassion for all these people that are suffering right now, and whether that's because they can't earn money right now, or even if they actually got the coronavirus, and or know somebody that has, or anybody that's passed away or anything like that. Like, anybody suffering right now, I just have nothing but compassion for. So, if anybody's watching this, like, I love you all, and keep your spirit up. Like, we're one humanity, we're one tribe, and we need to move through this together. So, Keep your spirit up. One way or another, we'll get through this. Have faith. I love you all.